What's up, everybody? How you doing? Happy Wednesday. I am Nick, joined by Rochelle. Hope you're doing great. We have a great episode for you today. Paul Scheer is our guest. I'm a big fan of Paul. He is a very successful comedian, actor, doing right. I mean, he does it all. He's got 2 hit podcasts. I got to meet Paul for the first time when I was announced as the Bachelor. He was one of the guests on After Paradise, and I was excited about being the Bachelor, and then I was excited about, oh, that's Paul Scheer, and we've done, he had me do a little project for him, and he was gracious enough to be a guest today, and just have a fun conversation about like what he's doing, what he's up to, how he's settled in with the new times that we're in, and it's been a ton of fun. Yeah. So how you doing, Rochelle?
I'm good. Also, if you guys haven't seen Burning Love, he's in that, and his wife is like the star of it. It's a parody of The Bachelor.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have seen that. It's really good.
Yeah. It's so dumb.
It's this whole spoof on The Bachelor. Really funny.
Yeah.
If you are looking for light, easy, digestible content and you're a Bachelor fan, go look up Burning Love. Absolutely.
Classic.
Thank you for reminding me of that. Well, so we just get to Paul and get right to the episode.
Yeah, let's do it.
Thanks for listening, guys. As always, don't forget to send your questions at asknick@castme.com for our Ask Nick episodes. Check us out on Mondays if you haven't yet. You will really enjoy it. We get some great callers and people share their stories and relationship questions, and we all learn a little bit about each other and how we can improve our situation. So make sure to check that out. And without further ado, Paul Scheer. Paul, thanks for joining.
I am so excited to be here. We're in quarantine. What else do we have to do?
I know. I really appreciate it. I mean, I guess before I get into finding out what you're doing for quarantine, I'm dying to ask you this question.
Sure.
You've had this very successful career. A regular, not even a regular, but The League, huge hit show I'm a huge fan of. You've been on Veep, Black Monday, you got 2 successful podcasts, you're doing a bunch of shit. But was the highlight of your career being a guest on After Paradise when I was announced as the Bachelor? Is that the highlight? I feel like it probably is.
I have to say that you kind of hit the nail right on the head. Honestly, I will say that there are a couple of moments in my life where the excitement and energy had been around something, and going on that show went from like, oh, this will be fun, we'll talk about something, to a full-on like, okay, this is it. We have the biggest news of all time, and we're breaking it here. And it was like, we can't tell anybody. And I was already in a closed-off space, so like, where would I go? But there was an energy to it, and I love energy like that. I love when everybody's on a very tense level and ready to blow it out. But yeah, I would say that was definitely in the top 3. Like my first kid, my second kid, and then the reveal of that.
I'm sure. Did you know? Did you find out when I walked out the door, or did like Alon give you the heads up?
I knew that there were. I can't remember exactly how it went down. I remember that when I was doing my pre-interview, we were talking about who we thought it would be. And because at that point there was like a front runner that it seemed like everyone was like, oh, that's what it's going to be. And you were the surprise. You were the twist. So it was like that. And I was like, oh, that guy's boring. And then when I got there, like, we're doing something big. And it was that idea of there is a secret happening. We can't tell you. We want everything to be real. So yeah, I was definitely, I believe it was when you walked out through that door. I was excited. Look, I'm a fan. I was ready to go.
That's cool. It was kind of a surreal moment for me too, but I remember you being there, and I was such a fan of the league when it was out. I was like, oh my God, I'm the Bachelor. There's Paul Scheer. Oh my God, this is really good.
You're right, because now I'm remembering more, because now I know you more. So it's hard to parse out those moments. And now that you're saying that, because I remember we were all like in this little scrum, like this celebratory, like New Year's Eve, like, hey, it's a party. Yeah. And I was like shaking your hands, like, oh, this is crazy. Like I was a fan of yours, and that was a really intense moment. That show, Bachelor After Paradise, I wish they would do more of that. I like the after show. I almost feel like you could cut like 30 minutes off the regular show and just do more of that talk. But that's a tense show, and it gave me a little bit of an insight on that world that I don't necessarily have that much experience in, like that, building to something and making sure that every segment has an energy to it. And there was definitely an energy there that I'd not experienced on a regular talk show or, a regular, just recap kind of show. Like there's not that energy on Walking Dead where like, okay, Michonne's here right now. She just killed you. You got to come on air and you're mad at Michonne. Like, it's like that kind of a thing.
It's funny because I almost feel like I remember the ratings of the after show not being awesome in general. I feel like almost it was like a few years too early because, like, the podcast world, for example, has really blown up since then. Like people just wanting to get more content of their favorite content and just digest it. I wonder if like the appetite for something like that is a little bit stronger now.
I also felt like there's this weird thing, and I love Chris Harrison. Chris Harrison is the best. I will not say anything bad about him. But I will say that he treats The Bachelor with such reverence that you needed to kind of make the after show a little bit more like, hey, we're having fun now. Like now, like, let's break it down. And he was always very funny, but like, I almost feel like it's like Dad's Still Home. Like when he was hosting, so it's like you couldn't like really have a house party. Yeah. It was like,
it's like, are we allowed to? Yeah. Like Dad's here. We can't drink. I don't know why.
So that was like that. Yeah, like because and Andy Cohen I think has that kind of energy where Andy is a sort of like, and I think that's why that show really works is because it's sort of like like he's just ready to have things fly. And I think Chris, to his credit, and I think that's really why the show works so well, is like he's like, hey, I don't want to create that much drama here. I'm here to make it okay. But
Chris is the anchor for sure.
Yeah, he's great.
But yeah, I was thinking about that moment when you were coming on, and it was certainly like, to your point, it was such energy. It was a moment I'll always remember, not only because when I was named The Bachelor, but I got to like meet a lot of cool people and just have that experience, and those are the things I remember more.
Well, there's a couple of things I want to ask you about this as well, because when you were announced, I feel like that happened like in 24 hours leading up to it? Like it was something really crazy, right? Or did you know?
It was correct. No, it was, I think that was like Tuesday when it was announced, because it was like they would air like it was a Tuesday. I knew for like a week. So the week before, it was the Sunday before, because I actually was on After Paradise the week before. I was supposed to be on because they would bring back alumni. And I got a text message from, it was Alon, one of the EPs at the time.
Who is
and
great.
He just said, and he was like, me and the other, his name's Bennett, the other EP want to meet you tomorrow if you want. And I'm friends with both of them, and I've hung out with them just in general. I've had dinner with them, we'll have breakfast, but I've never got together with them at the same time. And I was like, and they're like, we want to have coffee with you in the morning at the office. And right away I was like, they're not gonna fucking ask me to be the. There's no way they're gonna ask. Like, there's just no. But it was like, what else could it possibly be? Yeah. And then so that Monday they were just like, so do you want to be the Bachelor? And I remember being like really truly sick to my stomach at the time, and I've said this before, but I was like, I knew I was gonna say yes, and I absolutely thought I should say no. And I was like, well, here we go. And then, you have to, there's the contract stuff went pretty quickly, but yeah, it was like from that Monday, I knew for a week before, and because like once they decided to do it, they really wanted the surprise. Like usually that stuff gets spoiled, and they knew people would be shocked, and they really wanted to have that moment. So that's why they decided to announce it even before Paradise was over.
I mean, it's a crazy franchise, which I'm so kind of curious about where it goes, because honestly, in this like post-COVID world, we could be, with physical contact, all these people in a house, everything like this. This could be the end of The Bachelor for a year and a half or 2 years, ultimately.
Certainly in the format that we're used to, right? Traveling the world. Like, it's like the Bachelor or Bachelorette up to this point has been a reality TV dating show and a little bit of a reality travel show. Yeah. Right? In terms of like we're in romantic Fiji or whatever.
Right.
See the sights and like
you're on a helicopter. Yeah, you're riding horses. You're doing the whole thing. You're eating bats in the Wuhan.
That's not going to happen. And like there's been talk about like and it seemed that would be my guess. I have no inside information, but my guess is they're going to do whatever it takes to make Claire's season happen, and they're going to work a deal with some sort of like seasonal like resort, like a ski resort that's usually busy, dead in the summer. So they'll go to like Utah or Idaho
they'll just
or wherever.
lock it down. Yeah,
and they'll lock it down, and they'll make it work. But I also am curious about, so you won't have the travel and you'll have the dates. And honestly, I don't think the audience is going to care too much. But like, I am curious, like what you think. Like now we're ingrained about like 6 feet apart, and we're gonna like watching people make out. Like watching people cozy up, watching
that's the thing.
Group dates, like everything we're being taught right now is like anti, group. What do you group date? What? Whoa, buddy! Like
I think that people are going to have a physical reaction. I feel like I've done that when I'm watching movies right now because you're just not used to close proximity. Now the benefit is, and I'm thinking about you. When I was, we were talking about doing the show, I was like, oh, you've kind of lived through quarantine. You've been put in a house. You've been cut off from the world, and so you have a little bit of this experience that we're all kind of going through. But like that is the one thing that keeps the show maybe alive is the fact that, all right, well, you can monitor everybody. Everyone lives there, and if you just put the Bachelor or the Bachelorette on the side, everyone can kind of stay safe, but I don't know. I don't want to see the fantasy suite in this time. I mean, look, who knows? I mean, I hope the fantasy suite is just full of like disinfectant wipes.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's the thing. They'll do obviously they'll do what they have to do to keep everyone safe, but like you said, it will be kind of almost ingrained and like, whoa, is this okay? Should we be doing this? Like,
definitely not kissing one girl and kissing the next girl in a minute. That's not going to happen.
Claire clears her throat and she's like, and everyone's like, whoa, what? Wait, whoa.
Well, like right now they're like furiously having scientists do tests like, does hot tubs kill COVID? So they're like, if we can get that, if the scientists can prove that there's no COVID in hot tubs, this show can go on. We can still make this
the entire season will be dates in a hot tub. It's like, you thought we did hot tubs before? Well, get ready. That everyone's swimming. That would be hysterical. Article. Well, if you're stuck inside, you're spending a lot of time at home. There's a good chance you're sitting on an old couch that might need some upgrading. And if you are, make sure to check out Article. Rochelle and myself are proud Article customers. I've been really breaking in my Article couch. And by breaking in, I mean it's just me sitting on it. Yeah, what more can we say?
I have the Sven model, SVEN, and I cannot recommend it enough. It is leather. It is very modern. It's cool. I feel like I'm an Instagram model, honestly, when I'm on it.
Article is currently offering our listeners $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more. So go to article.com/VIALL and the discount will be automatically applied at checkout. That's article.com/VIALL to get $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more. Storyworth. We love Storyworth on this show because we love stories and we're sentimental as shit, Rochelle and I. I mean, I know I am. I just listen. I found this too. Like it was always when I've been on a date, I have found myself like once you get to the point of like talking about families and stuff like that, and you ask about their parents and their relationships, and I always find myself asking about like. What did your dad do in the story? And I always feel like I get to know the person I'm across the table with when they tell me stories about their family. And I just think that the history of our own lives is so fascinating and so enriching. And I think it's a lot of things we don't know a lot about our parents, our grandparents, and things like that. And Storyworth makes it possible by giving them the gift to share their stories, prompting them with questions, and then putting it in a booklet for you to pass down for years to come. Your kids, your grandkids, you never know. It's truly a priceless gift you can give someone, especially your mom, for Mother's Day coming up. So give your mom the most meaningful gift this year with Storyworth. Get started right away without the need for shipping by going to storyworth.com/VIALL. You'll get $10 off your first purchase. That's storyworth.com/VIALL for $10 off. How is quarantine going for you?
It's interesting. I have two children. I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. My actual 5-year-old is turning 6 tomorrow, which is kind of crazy.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday! But it's a quarantine birthday, and I would say that one of the benefits of quarantine is that I'm surrounded and nonstop going with this 3 and 5-year-old. My wife and I are doing everything we can to teach, do our own work, and we're clean the house. There's not a dull moment. So for me, I do look at a little bit with like envy when I see people like, I read 3 books in 3 days, or, just binging all of Schitt's Creek. I'm like, I haven't sat down since 10 a.m. I'm making lunches, I'm making breakfast, and all that stuff is kind of great. I feel like, and not to get too sentimental, but my wife and I always talk about this idea like, I wish we could just freeze them. It's such a great time. And we've essentially done that. We've frozen our children because we are with them 14 hours a day. and it's, it's almost day 50 for us. But, highs and lows. I mean, there are days where I'm just like incredibly depressed and I still have to teach, basic subtraction and addition. And then there's days when I'm like, this is great. We're all going on a walk and, bike riding together. So, I don't know. I think it's an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, it's been interesting. For me, at least, it's like at first I was almost like, I'm strangely thriving. I had I do live alone, so a lot of the alone part, I was like, I can do this. This is no problem. Like now I don't have to drive 4 hours a day around LA and sitting in traffic, and I can do what I'm doing, and I'm way more efficient. And so I was kind of being all creative and doing these things, and now I've kind of hit this like lull where it's just like, like yesterday I had all these dishes to do, and I was like, nah, I'll get to it tomorrow. Like I've just been like, I've definitely hit this period of like laziness and depression. Like I'm not depressed, but like it's just this mundaneness of it all.
There's I mean, it's not, we don't have to be in like therapy depression, but there are these moments I think that we're all experiencing where it's sort of like the dishes is a perfect encapsulation of it. It's sort of like laundry, all right, like it's like, and because we're not seeing anybody, we're not really doing anything, and I do believe that there's one thing that I found, which is everything that everyone thought that you needed to be in person for, you just don't. That's the best part of all of this. Meetings are shorter, times are shorter, and I feel like I'm talking to my family and friends more. Are you doing that? Are you kind of doing more connecting like on that level?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things too where you try to like, you even have more time to like self-reflect in terms of like, for example, I have a grandmother who like, she lives in like an assisted living community, right? And they're on lockdown, right? Because, obviously at risk elderly people. So she's learned to FaceTime for the first time in a while. And all of a sudden, like now I'm like thinking, I'm FaceTiming her. I could always be better at calling my parents, but like you find more reasons to try to connect with people. And that's a positive thing. But like also there have been times where it's just like, I feel lonely, but I don't know what to say to anyone. So like, I'm just going to like stare at my phone. I don't know. It's like you see kind of these weird moments.
I mean, and no one has done this, right? So we're the pioneers of this in the sense of modern day version of this. And I think there's things like the internet and Jackbox games and whatever, where you can kind of have this like, we're going to play a game, or we're going to get on Zoom and I'm going to talk to my college friends or my high school friends. And so there is this sort of like weird, like we are connecting, we are together, but then we are physically not. And I think that like, no matter how much we have internet and streaming TV shows or whatever, you still just miss a little bit of like that human connection, like getting the coffee, getting like, I don't know, and it's small, but and we're learning it, and we'll get through it. But it's just like it's a real mind fuck, honestly.
The one of the things I miss the most, and it's super inefficient, and this is also saving me money because now I'm making my own coffee, is like waiting in line at the coffee shop. And ordering coffee and like holding that cup and just I love that routine that I had, and I don't have that. You miss those little things.
But I've learned how to make a really great iced coffee, in my house. And I feel like that has been, necessity is like the mother of invention. I've perfected something here, and I'm like, this is good. I may never go back. Like, like that, those like little things, like I'm cooking and, made banana bread. Never made banana bread. I mean, everyone's making banana bread. I don't know why. Like, I love like these things that happen on the internet where all of a sudden everyone's making bread. Everyone's making banana bread. It's like, we just are following, like, oh, who's doing that? Okay, let's go. Let's go do this.
Totally. If you think there's one thing as like, because like clearly this is going to go on for like, I don't know if things will ever go back to where they were, and maybe they shouldn't to a certain degree, and there will be a long adjustment. But what do you think some things that will never go back for the better and to the way we used to do things? That's a good
question. Yeah,
in terms of like maybe we just got too carried away, or maybe we're the insincere hug. Maybe we're just not doing that anymore.
I was going to say like the awkward hugs, the weird handshakes. What I'm thrilled about is I'll never have one of those handshakes with a guy again who does that squeezing thing where it's like, why are you vice gripping my hand?
Yeah. It's like, congratulations on your handshake. What the fuck? Yeah.
Like we're not like in the 1940s making a business deal about like oil. Like, and I also feel like, to me, I am a person who I try to read the room and see what's going on. And now knowing that like a hug is off the table, like if you're coming for a hug, I'm definitely there. I don't want to overstep a hug. So now it'd be like, if that's off the table, great. Like it's
like one. Everyone's like, I'm a hugger, and you're like, if I say no, then I'm an asshole. So like,
exactly. I guess what I'm really looking forward to too is, and this is going to be a little bit later down the line, but the masks. What kind of masks are we wearing, guys? Like, are they going to get more interesting? Like, I already have I have a Carol Did It mask, which is from Tiger King. Yeah. So I have that. And now I have a Clippers mask. So I have like those two. I'm getting to show some. Will masks be the new sneakers? Maybe, I don't know.
Oh no, I was just when you said that, I was the first thing that popped in my head was Nike.
Yeah. Oh,
in terms of like what. It'll be like an a Nike Air mask, or like the Reebok pump, where you're just like pumping up the filter or something.
Toxin. I love it. Like though, if you're like, oh yeah, I got the new LeBron mask. It's great. These Air Jordan masks are amazing. I love it. That'd be great. I already saw a woman in Georgia wearing like a fake like Armani mask, and I was like, this is great. Like I'm in it.
You got to start making merch, Paul.
Yes, I know. Get that merch out
there. So I know you're a big movie buff. You have two successful podcasts out there, Unschooled and How Did It Get Made? And I love movies, and I always love listening to your perspective. I know you're out there, like on your website, you're suggesting content for people to listen to read, digest. Like, what are some of the things? Yeah.
Oh, I've been doing this. Yeah. I've been trying to like figure out like what we should be watching and stuff. So I've been doing this thing. I have like a text number you can call or text, and I give a suggestion. Like, I kind of feel like right now we are in the mood for things that are like funny and dumb and not necessarily challenging us. And I think that that's okay not to be challenged right now. Like, I think we need comfort food. We need like the equivalent of mac and cheese for streaming. So it's been fun to kind of like find those things and go back and look at different movies. For me, my comfort food right now has been that ESPN doc about Michael Jordan, that 10-part series. It's so good. It's so good. And it transcends, like, even if you don't like sports, because it's sort of like, I'm with my wife who does not like, she likes it to a certain extent, but it's so engaging. And I feel like that's like, and it's triumphant. I feel like we need those kind of moments. So my wife really likes it, which is, a real interesting thing. I think it brings everybody together. And then besides that, I'm just kind of like watching a lot of like classic comedies, like, stuff from like, like Step Brothers, or like, I love this movie Midnight Run with like Robert De Niro and Charles Grodin that I feel like many people haven't really seen, or like Bowfinger with Eddie Murphy and Steve Martin, which is great. Just like fun, weird, classic comedies.
Yeah, no, that's great. The number, if you're interested, is 917-877-0657.
Yes, and it's not a pay thing. It's just a me thing. I'm just like, I figured I got involved in this place, and it's just like, oh yeah, just every day at like 2:00 Pacific time, I will send out something. It's music or it's a long read. The long reads are a little bit less than normal, just because I feel like people are like, they don't need that all the time.
But you're absolutely right though, because what I'm a creature of habit in general, and then what I've been noticing, like, you know, if there's like a new show that really sparks my interest, I'll watch it. But I find myself, I'm not trying new stuff. I'm going back and rewatching stuff I've seen because I know what to expect from it, and I know the feeling it's going to elicit. So it is sometimes nice to like get recommendations from people you think like, hey, I know you don't want to try something new, but just give this a try, and I promise, like, it will be rewarding.
Like for me, last night I watched this movie, The Assistant. It just came out, and it's like basically like, what if you were the assistant for Harvey Weinstein? And I was like, it's a great movie. I would never recommend it to anybody because I'm like, you don't need this kind of stress right now in your life. Like, it's just like, it's sort of like really well done, fantastically directed and acted. I was like, it's not like, oh, pop this in and sit down. I don't want to be challenged. And I think that that's fine not to be challenged because honestly, you're just sort of like, why? Like, I've heard all these people getting dogs now, like pandemic puppies. And I'm like, that's hard too. Like, why are you putting another thing on top of you? Maybe it's great. I don't know. I love dogs.
Listen, it's great if you can do it, and everyone, you know, yes, but you're right. I mean, it can be challenging, and it is okay to say, I'm not ready for that sometimes.
Yeah.
It's funny to think about dogs too. It's just like, I don't have a dog. I mean, I have some mild allergies, but part of the reason too, it's just been like, I don't know if I could be a good parent to a dog right now. I don't know if I have the time, and I don't like, would it be great for my Instagram? Sure. But I don't know if I could like give it the love that it needs right now. And I'm trying.
I'm also worried about like when we do get back into the normal world, like, because right now it's a great moment. It's like, oh, I'm here with the dog. I can do all this stuff. It's like, yeah, but when life does come back around, then you have to make adjustments. I mean, but again, it's all great. I'm just not into too many challenges. My life right now is like cleaning the toilets and getting the floors done and doing all the laundry and all that sort of stuff. Like that's about my challenge bar.
And like, I couldn't imagine. I was joking last week with our guest in terms of like, what's the perfect quarantine scenario? Yeah, and it was like having just met someone but not living together, so you have the excitement and to look forward to talk to someone. Being single with options up there. Married with kids, it's got to be in the bottom of the totem pole, or do you find that it's? Am I wrong? How is that for you?
I will say that there's highs and lows to it. Like I think that like I'm thrilled with the people that I'm with, right? Like
I mean,
so like I've been with like my wife for, like 15 years, like and so there is like just a comfort in the lows and the lows. Like you can go there, like with each other, and that's like really lovely to have. And then we can find fun in these moments. And like I said, the kids, it's sort of like you take the stress of the kids, and then you take like the fact that you're getting like just tons of like snuggles, and you're like on the couch watching like Home Alone at like 2 PM. You're like, oh, this is kind of great too. Like it's a, you know, like there's moments, of course, where I'm like, oh, I just want to sit here and be by myself. But I would say 90% of the moments, it's like I'm wrestling with my kids and having fun, and just there is a goofiness. So yeah, you know, I look at you and I go, oh, that's the life right there. That's the life.
No, listen, it can be, but to your point, there's always these times I'm like talking to myself. But it'd be nice to be like, hey man, how's it going? You know, like I'm really just like really getting to know myself and my weird idiosyncrasies and my personalities. BetterHelp, love BetterHelp and what they're doing. If you aren't familiar with BetterHelp, they are a very easy and accessible online service for helping your mental health. If you ever thought about getting in touch with a therapist or a counselor to deal with any stresses you might have, just basic anxiety, maybe some, you know, things people are struggling, obviously, with the economy and work, you know, maybe your job isn't going way you hoped, whatever it is. It's always okay to admit that you want to talk to someone, and that someone might be a professional. Maybe you've exhausted, friends and family and things like that. And I can't say enough about what BetterHelp is doing. You just go to BetterHelp. You fill out a survey. They assess your needs. They align you with a therapist that's perfect for your needs. If you disagree with their assessment, you can always change therapists. They make it so seamless and easy. You can do this out of the comfort of your home, on your tablet, on your computer, on your phone. I can't say enough about it, and I think they're doing amazing things. And I want all of you to start living your happier life today. So as a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting betterhelp.com/VIALL. Join over 800,000 people taking charge of their mental health. Again, that's betterhelp, HELP.com/VIALL.
Have you taken up any COVID hobbies? Like for me, I have started doing like Legos, like big giant Legos. And I find it to be so relaxing and meditative because it's sort of like there's so few things in life that you can kind of have a beginning, middle, and end with. And I'm like, oh, I'm doing this. I feel accomplished. And like it relaxes me.
I loved Legos as a kid. I would play for hours. I really haven't. And I feel like bad now that you're asking me. Part of the reason, I like to paint. I would do Bob Ross paintings.
Oh, amazing.
I was doing that for a while, but I'm out of supplies. So and I could order on Amazon, but I haven't been that motivated to do it. I've been making quite honestly, I've been and I've hit a bit of a creative lull, but I have been making these videos on my Instagram, which is basically 4 different versions of me, and that's been fun to make and kind of embracing the quarantine and having fun. So I was having a lot of fun being very creative in terms of pushing out content and embracing the new norm, and that was my hobby. But nothing that's been just for me. I haven't done that yet. But I feel like
it's hard to press that button on yourself and be like, all right, I gotta now create outwardly. It's a tricky thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, actually, walking though, I feel like I'm the 80-year-old version of myself already. I like to work out. I go outside when I work out, just to get some fresh air. But now I have some free time to kill. So even though after I'm done working out, I'll be well, I'm going to go for another walk. And I quite enjoy it. Just to put some headphones on. I live by the beach, so that, obviously that's kind of scenic and nice. And I'm just go on these long walks that I imagine I'm going to do as a senior citizen.
Yeah. I love that. I love that idea of just and by the way, the beach seems to be the best place to be near. And we have a very nice walking area. We live on the east side of LA, and it's residential but walkable, and there are cool little stores when the stores are open. So yeah, I like getting out, and we've been bike riding a lot, but we do a daily walk every day. We just go out for 45 minutes, and it's nice.
Yeah, I do. Yes, same. And I really have been enjoying that. And I quite honestly, I hope to have the time to keep doing that as things get back to normal, because it has been kind of it's therapeutic in a sense, because sometimes, we don't talk too much about religion, but I grew up very Catholic, and I don't go to church as much anymore, but I will remember when I'd go to church, it was, if nothing else, it was that moment where I would just to kind of center myself and be alone. And I try to, and I've told myself before, well, I'll do that when I'm driving now, or I'm just thinking, but you have so many distractions and things like that, or traffic. So this walk has been this almost meditating thing for me, and that's been kind of a good stress reliever for myself.
No, I think it's these things that we kind of get in touch with, because there is nobody that is calling. There's no place for us to go. There's really nothing for us to do. I mean, yes, there are obligations, but I think that people are doing their work a little bit quicker, besides the relentless amount of Zoom calls. But I feel by the way, that's the one thing I want to say, not everything has to be a Zoom call. I feel everybody now wants to be on Zoom. It's we could talk on the phone too, right? I mean,
yeah.
But no, I feel I'm finding these little things that I don't want to lose. And that's what I think has been a nice takeaway. I've had dinner at home every night, and that I just haven't done that. God, I haven't done that in decades. I feel and that's been finding these walks and time with kids and different, for me, just finding different things to do with them. And again, we're, having to make do with, like you said, like, you're running out of supplies. We're trying to plan a birthday party for a 6-year-old, and we're like, okay, we're going to do this parade, and we have to get balloons, and my wife is like working with fondant, like to make a cake, and it's like, oh, this is like stuff that we wouldn't have normally have done, or gone out all like this. So like, I like that.
Yeah. Do your kids know what's going on? Because they're pretty young.
Yeah, they're 5 and 3, or going to be 6 and 3, and they know about the virus. So they talk about the virus. We know that they'll go back when the virus is over, and they know like that they need to keep distance and stuff. But I don't think they understand exactly what that is. I can say that they seem thrilled that they are home. They love being home. They love like being lazy in the morning, but then they miss their friends too. So like, all of a sudden, I'll go into the room with my 3-year-old and I'm like, oh, Dad, come here. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, Peter's over here. I'm like, oh, Peter, you're from your preschool class? He's like, yeah, Peter's right there. Like, so like I see my 3-year-old like having like these wants and desires and not knowing how to articulate. Like, I miss my
that's
friends.
so cute.
When we went on location shooting, my wife is an actress as well, and she was in this movie Long Shot, and we were up in Montreal, and it was a terrible time in Montreal because it was so cold. Every time we were going around there, people were like, why are you here now? Like, it's terrible here. No one comes here in the winter. And
she's so good in that
like,
movie, by the way.
Oh, she's so good.
Yeah.
And she and so my little 4-year-old at the time, I just remember one day I walked into the living room of the place we were staying at, and he's laid sprawled on the floor with his arms outstretched, and he's like, I miss my friends. And I was like, and I just feel like those are the moments that, they don't know what they're experiencing. They can't get on a Zoom. They're not going to have all these connections. So they kind of lose that part of it, but they have all those feelings. And that's kind of interesting and tough to deal with.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's also like kind of very sweet to hear you talk about, and
yeah.
And almost like watching your kids like have those emotions, like
yeah.
I mean, like I'm trying to think of all the positive things that can maybe come for this, and like I think we slow down a little bit, maybe kind of appreciate those moments. I mean, as a warrior myself, like I can worry about anything, and I think I've strangely worried less during this time because it's like helped me fixate on the things, and it's a reminder of the thing. Like I've focused so much recently about being thankful, not to sound cheesy, but like I've been, knock on wood, like lucky considering a lot of the things that people are going through, like anyone in the service industry and things like that, and so I've spent more time focusing on what I do have and less time on what I don't have. And I think that's been really good for my mental health.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like there's just this idea too that we're just in this moment where literally it's the embodiment of it's out of our control, right? There's nothing that we can do besides, if you're an essential worker, obviously you're working. If you are, giving to charity, that's amazing too. But like at the end of the day, like we individually can't change this, like, unless we're creating a vaccine. But it's like, and there's something relaxing about that. It's like, well, I have to wait until someone tells me I can go do this, and that's it. And there's a freedom to that. Like, everyone's in the same boat, and that's so rare to be like, oh, we all are kind of just grinding our wheels, except for Georgia. Georgia seems to be back on track.
They're just a lot of people are just going. Yeah.
I mean, BuzzFeed did an amazing photo essay. And by the way, I know that a lot of people in like Atlanta and everybody else I've talked to are like, we don't agree with this at all. But it is funny to see like life is normal. And you're talking about this idea of like watching movies and seeing people close together. And it's like, oh, I'm watching a guy get a haircut in a Georgia barbershop. And I'm like, oh, this is real scandalous. Like, I feel like I'm looking at like a snuff film or something.
Right? It's like, whoa, what is going on? That is funny. Yeah, I mean, it's the human element of it. Like, people are getting antsy, and I think people, they're kind of weighing the risk reward of all the things that we're dealing with. It's been interesting. I've always been a big fan of your career and just like the stuff you've been doing, and from the League, and you have Black Monday out, which I'm a big fan of on Showtime.
Oh, thanks.
What are some of the characters that you've identified with the most, or what are some of the things that you've had the most fun making? I've always been kind of curious as when I get to talk to actors and performers.
For me, I'm always a person who loves I mean, I kind of made this distinction early on in my career where I'm like, I just want to work with people that I really respect and admire because, this is a hard job. And if you are lucky enough to be in it, like I want to surround myself and have good experiences there because the money sometimes is not very good. The hours are not very good. So let's just like have a fun time. And I've been really lucky to work with like some great people. I would say in addition to like working with people like Dave Mandel, who ran Veep and was on Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm. And that was an amazing experience. But then like creating my own stuff has been great. Like, cause you get to make your own rules and, so those are the things I really look forward to. But as far as like characters and moments, I was looking back, I did a show called Human Giant back in the beginning of my career with Aziz Ansari and Rob Hubels, a sketch show for MTV. And we really got to do whatever we wanted to do. And there was one sketch, we're kind of going through it right now because we're trying to release a few of them online because they're not up anywhere. And there's this one character I really loved where it was a guy who was on a sci-fi TV show. And he was like a Klingon, like a full alien made up person, head to toe. The scene starts off with him longingly looking at all the other actors as they're wrapping out of the show. They're just like walking off, bye, we're gonna see you at the bar. And he's like hours of like people like taking off makeup and he's getting up at 4 a.m. and getting all this makeup on. And then he decides that he's going to get all the makeup surgically put onto his face. So the sketch became this big thing where I go get intensive plastic surgery. I get my skin dyed. I get like these crazy brows. And the minute I do it, the show gets canceled. And then the sketch goes on and it's like, how do I live this life with a mutant face? And I'm like trying to get other acting roles as like Abraham Lincoln and stuff like that. And that was like one of my favorite like dumb sketches that we did on Human Giant. I just love like that we could tell this like sad story of this dumb actor who, changed his face because he thought his show was never going to get canceled.
Yeah. I'm curious because like you mentioned, like obviously how hard it is and the grind of it all. And, I've been in LA for a few years and, I'm working hard and doing those things. You've been doing it far more and more successful at it. But like, we all know like time flies, right? And especially for the people listening, whatever their goals are in life. When was that moment where you had enough of success that you stopped and go, wait, how did this work out for me? Did you ever have that moment?
No, it's funny. I do the show with Don Cheadle, the Black Monday, and we were talking about this the other day, and he was saying like, like he said, like it was me, Regina, and him. We were just sitting around, and he was like, we grind. That's our job. Like we grind. And he said that, and I was like, oh yeah, like I don't ever feel like not that enough is enough. Like that, like I'm not like, oh, I need more. It's sort of like I feel like I'm like a contractor. It's like, okay, I'm contracted to build this building. When that's done, I got to go find my next job. It doesn't always guarantee that there's a next job after it, but you always have to kind of be looking to, stay afloat. And I feel like when he was saying that, I was like, oh, I think that's the career that I'm just going to be in. It's always like trying to find the next thing. Yeah. And that doesn't mean a bad thing. But I think the moments that you're describing, what I felt is there are moments where I look back at my career and I go, oh my God, if that thing didn't happen, if that moment, if I didn't like walk in that door versus that door, my life would have been completely different. And that gives me a retroactive anxiety. Like I'm like, I'm here, but I'm like, but what if I didn't do that? Like, how did I not know that? And it wasn't like I made some grand scheme decision. It wasn't like, oh, I was so smart. It was like, oh, I just happened to decide this over that. And that paid off. And especially in the early days, when I was working at UCB and which is Upright Citizens Brigade Theater and like doing like 5 shows a night or 5 shows a week, I just was like making choices, and those choices connected me to people and places, my wife, jobs, relationships. I remember I got a TV show pilot, a big TV show pilot. I got this thing. It was going to be a big deal. And Human Giant came along, and Human Giant was a small MTV sketch show. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was a chance to do my own thing. And it was like, do I do a big network show or this like small little thing? And the money was so much better. And people were like, you got to do the network show, do the network show. And I went against that and I did my own thing. And that was the best choice I could have ever made in my life, and it's,
wow.
but there's another world where I could have done that show and then I would have missed out on that opportunity. And and I would say that not always am I making the right choice. sometimes like, oh, I should have done that instead, or that was a dumb move. Yeah.
It's just funny. When you said like gives me terrible anxiety, I thought you were going to say something different, but it is true. And that is so true for me. I think of like, especially the past 5-6 years of my life, like it was all random, like deciding to make a career change. I will say like, sometimes like having blind faith is like a blessing, and sometimes it doesn't work out. I'm thankful for it. But like me even moving to LA, like if I knew what I knew now of all the steps that go in and all the things, there's no way I would have done it. You know what I'm saying? I would have been like, nah, fuck that. That's I don't think I can manage it. And
no, it's a grind. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like there are a million little things that I totally agree. Like things could have gone far different for me if I would have just said yes to something else or no to something else. There's a lot of luck involved. Obviously, like, people always say like, when luck meets preparation type of thing, or whatever the saying goes, that's luck. But it is kind of crazy to think about, in terms of like, sometimes ignorance is bliss when you're like, when you have to grind, you just kind of go and do it and you don't think about like what it takes.
The things that I would say, and not that I'm saying anything that no one else has said before me, but I will say that I think it is always smart to bet on yourself. And whenever you get involved in, or you see an opportunity in front of you, whether that is a job opportunity in the real world, or whether that is an acting opportunity, or whatever it is, you have to look at it and say, are these the people that I want to be involved with for a long term? It's like dating, right? And it's like, and there are, if you have those hesitations in the beginning, like they're only going to get worse. It's the same thing. It's literally the same thing as dating. And sometimes that has been my biggest like decision factor. It's like, I don't know if I see myself for 7 years with this thing or this character or this, these people. And that's how I kind of look at everything now, is like my long-term decision. And, and then obviously there's shorter term things that you do too, but you got to just assume that you're in it for the long haul because, because that, I think those interpersonal relationships, I know that I've done shows for 7+ years, 4 years, 3 years, different levels. And you are in it with those people, and it's like you're married. That's it. You can't get out. You may want to, but you can't. And that's hard, especially if you hate it. And I've been in a situation that I hated, and I don't think it showed up in the work at all. But it was rough, and that's all, and you live and learn.
Yeah. Speaking of talking about things of how things are going to adjust, I know we talked about the Bachelor show, but how do you think just Hollywood in general, from movies to TV shows, like content in general, how do you think that's going to adjust? Are we going to even have like movies come out the way we had to, and people going on location and where they can go and where they can shoot, because when you're shooting a TV show or a movie, they're talking about hundreds of people being around each other and things like that.
It's going to be a long time before we blow up a car again, because like you need like 200 people to blow up a car. You got to get the stunt people, you got to get this pyrotechnics people. I think for me, the one thing that I just hope is that there's not a lot of like COVID content. I don't want to see everybody's indie drama about being in their house. I don't want to see any of that. I want to enjoy like the new stuff. I want to like, I hope that we are able to still make something that feels, fresh and fun. And whether that is a little bit more DIY, like I'm doing a show for Marvel right now, and in my office, I have a camera set up and lighting set up, and it's a full deal thing because we can shoot there. And it was like a creative way that we were able to kind of fix, do something really quickly. I think cool. It was kind of fun, like just kind of getting on, if you can, like I'm literally controlling the camera, the lighting, and the focus and everything. It's intense, but we're trying. So I feel like you're going to get a lot of DIY stuff. But then on top of it, I think we should look at The Mandalorian as our future, because The Mandalorian is this amazing technology they created for that show where they have green screens, but instead of green screens, they actually project real images that move with you. So everything's on a stage. That show is entirely on a stage. I think we're going to be shooting shows like that. You're going to be on a stage. There's going to be a person controlling everything, the lighting, everything, and you're going to have a small skeleton crew, because Mandalorian was small. I think it's going to be I think we're going to live in that kind of a world. That's my gut. And then we'll see.
That's interesting.
I think rom-coms are going to come back in a big way, because they were kind of...
I think comedies are going to come back, but I don't think they're going to come back in movie theaters. I feel like drive-ins may come back in a big way. I could see drive-ins. You're gonna have a lot of open real estate. But you know what I think about too? It's like all those like WeWorks and stuff like that, and all these like shared working spaces. Wonder what's gonna happen there. I mean, that's not movies, but there's gonna be a lot of real estate around, so maybe there's a chance that we can just all start setting up our own studios in all these abandoned
drive-in movie theaters. Drive-in I want to bring the roller skate girl out who's gonna serve me burgers and fries and milkshakes. Like I'm all for that.
I'm like,
back to our roots.
Let's do like those things. I mean, bowling, does that work too? Like, let's find these fun things that we've abandoned as a culture. Like bowling, I think you're about 6 feet away, or you can get, like what are the things? We're going to bring back roller skating rinks. I mean, for Black Monday this season, I had to learn how to roller skate and rollerblade, and I spent a lot of time at roller skating rinks. And I was like, oh, it's still kind of thriving on the down low. I love it.
Oh, Paul, I'm an excellent roller skater. I actually have skates. I have skates in my car. I've been to World on Wheels tons of times. And if you go to World on Wheels, they're legit there. Like they know how to skate. I miss roller skating. I haven't gone in a while, but like I did it as a kid. In fact, and then I didn't do it for like 25 years. And then it was like a date I had on The Bachelor, and they gave me the skates. And then when I came to LA, I was bored one night. I was like, let's do something different. And I went, I picked it up again, and I started like just roller skating. I had a couple friends. I've even gone by myself, just like bring the skates and just like spin, it's been fun.
It's so fun. It's like, I had such a great time, and had an amazing teacher, and she's great. Like, and it was just fun to be on the street and do all this sort of, I want roller skates to come back, not blades, skates. Skates are fun.
4 wheels then. Yeah. Or like, not inline or whatever, but
the platform or whatever. Yeah,
I know you have to go soon, but before you do, I want to play. We always play this little game with our guests. It's called "Do You Know Me?" Real simple. These random ass questions. I'll ask you. Don't give your answer right away. Rochelle and I were guess.
Okay, got it.
Answer to it, right, and then we'll figure out who knows Paul Scheer.
Oh wow, this is gonna be exciting.
More. And if you have an anecdotal story you want to share, feel free. No pressure at all. Do you know me with Paul Scheer? Has Paul posted on social media in the past day? Or in the past, well, should we do the past day? No, in the past hour.
No, this morning, before
This morning. Have you posted on social media in the past hour?
Well, let's just make sure that people understand that it is right now 9 a.m, right? It's early. We started recording. Yeah. I guess we started recording at 9. So just
I'm gonna say absolutely not. He's got work. He's got he's got kids. Like Paul has better things to do to influencing. And when he does post, it's like, it's like. It's a necessary evil to put out the things he's doing. I mean, I do follow him on Instagram. He's a great follow. You should check it out. But
thank you so much.
He's got
I think he snuck
other more
a tweet
pertinent
in.
things to do.
No, I think he snuck a tweet in this morning. He thought of something funny. Had to get it in.
All right, this is a good question. I did not post on Instagram this morning. No, I got up and I came right here. But I did look at Twitter and I did look at Instagram, and I liked a couple things. I definitely liked a couple things, but I didn't. I kind of window shopped this morning. I didn't get it. I didn't get it in the mix. I didn't go in the store.
What happened to your finger, Paul? I noticed you have a little.
Oh, yes, I have a Band-Aid on.
Spider-Man.
This is Spider-Man. Yes, that was just because I couldn't find anything else. I was cleaning my stove, and I was trying to get in and get some grime out from there, and I just sliced open my finger. And then I was making Moscow mules last night and forgot that I had this. And when I was squeezing the lime, it was almost like a direct deposit of lime into my cut, which was one of the most painful things that ever happened to me.
I also scrubbed my entire oven. I was like, I'm just cleaning everything.
Gotta get in there. I'm vacuuming. I have a vacuum. Sorry.
I was cleaning my stove on the regular, but it's one of the, like we talked about earlier, it's pretty disgusting right now. And I'm just like, fuck it. I'll do it tomorrow. Second question. Has Paul... did his last text contain an emoji? Now, I almost want to audit this because I just feel like has Paul ever used an emoji?
No, 100. He uses a ton of emojis, I think.
You do?
Yeah.
I'm going to say his last text didn't.
This is actually a really good question, and I appreciate, Nick, that you respect me enough to think I don't use an emoji. I do use emojis. I use emojis for 2 reasons. One, I use the hand slap on the head emoji a lot. I feel like that is like it's sort of like a shorthand. I can't respond, but you see where I'm at.
Yeah.
And the other emoji that I use is sometimes I feel like my tone is off. Like if you were to say something to me, I would be like, "Oh, yeah, that's great." Like, and if I write just like "great," like it seems like I'm being terse. So I
Dismissive,
sometimes so sometimes I add a little happy face to be like, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
My emoji work is that, and then of course, like I got a lady. I got to send her some emojis. Send her some hearts. I do a lot of clicking of hearts on text, and a lot of that's where I'm really living in that. Like someone sends me something, and I'm like, thumbs up, exclamation points, heart. Like I don't have time to get into the nitty gritty of it, but I can be like, got it, read it.
I'm the same, and I appreciate that. And honestly, I'm fine with people doing it to me because it's a nice little acknowledgement. I get it. I had this whole debate with a girl I was talking to, briefly, and she's funny, but we had this debate on like what was appropriate to thumbs up or heart.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm gonna be honest. She was like, if you thumbs up, I'm pretty sure I feel like you're mad at me. So like, this is an appropriate heart thing. It was like this whole debate of like, don't be dismissive, and it was.
Well, you know what I did too. Like I sometimes your finger will slip, and someone sent me some like pretty shocking information. And I hit like a heart it, like it was like so terrible, and I was like, love it, and I was like, oh wait, no, I have to put exclamation points instead. But like if you send the wrong reaction to it, but I appreciate that. I appreciate that you respect me enough that I don't do those emojis.
I do, Paul. Is Paul more of a vodka or a tequila drinker?
Ooh, these are good questions.
I don't know the answer to this question.
Moscow Mule last night.
I feel like Paul's more of a whiskey drinker, but I'm gonna say tequila because tequila is considered more of a sipping spirit than a vodka, and so if I had to pick between the two, I'm gonna say tequila.
Yeah.
Okay, are you saying tequila? Both tequilas, both locked in as tequilas.
I said it first.
You are both right.
Yes!
I like a tequila, like, and you're right. Like I like a sipping tequila. It's it's. I got this one from Mexico. It's in a beautiful white bottle. It's like Casa Azul, and it's been my go-to. And I mean, I'm gonna drink other things too. And you were right, Nick. I will definitely drink like a bourbon or scotch or a whiskey. Like I like those too. But I feel like tequila feels light. I will tell you right now though, my saddest thing, or maybe it's not sad. I've been drinking canned wine. Carbonated wine. When I went to the supermarket before this pandemic started, I was trying to get stuff in the supermarket. It was empty, and the only thing they had was like a pallet of like 24 cans of like wine. I was like, I'm buying this. And then I drank it, and I'm like, I like it. I like this. It's like called like house wine, and I'm like, I'm all in on the bubbly brute.
Great.
But it's like I'm surprised myself on that in a major way.
That's awesome.
That's great. There's this wine I buy at Whole Foods. It's like $1.99, and honestly, it's totally fine. It's like
it's kind of. I'll tell you the one secret I did at my wedding, which is we were getting married. We didn't have that much money, and Trader Joe's out here, supermarket out here that's fairly cheap. They have this like thing called like $2 Chuck, and it's good wine. It's $2 a bottle of wine, and my wife and we steamed off all the labels and put on new labels and put that all throughout our wedding. And everyone was like, this wine is amazing. And I was like, yep, it is. It really is.
Wow. The con of the century.
Yeah, it was a good, you got to cut corners in every way.
I once brought that to a party, and the host goes, it would have been better if you had brought nothing.
Oh.
I think about it every day. Yeah.
Last question, has Paul ever totaled a car? Like totaled, like you can no longer drive it? I'm going to say no.
100% yes.
Maybe an offender. No.
Yes, we've all totaled.
We've all totaled the car.
Yes, we've all totaled.
Thank you, Paul.
And mine, yes. I mean, have you never totaled a car, Nick? You've never totaled?
I have not totaled. I haven't ever been.
I wasn't pulled out.
Wow.
I wasn't like pulled out with the jaws of death, but like totaled is a very interesting term because it's sort of like.
The car was not drivable afterwards.
Yeah, the insurance company is like, it's better for us to let you get a new car than continue
totally. Yeah,
on.
that's what I mean. I've never. No, I have never done that.
Wow.
Oh wow. I slid on ice in high school, and my car went down into a ditch. And I was like, oh my God, I got out. But I was like a foot away from a tree. And thank God I avoided disaster. And then as I was looking at the car, another car hit that same patch of ice, came down the valley the same way, hit my car and drove my car into the tree. I'm like, oh no, my car. And I'm freaking out. And then that person gets out of their car. And then another car hits the same patch of ice, comes down, hits, and then boom, boom, boom. So it's 3 cars that hit the car and then drive my car through the tree, knocking over the tree. And then a fucking school bus hits that patch of ice, comes down. And it was a 4-car accident that totally destroyed my entire.
Oh my gosh! I'm glad you're okay.
That is amazing. Paul, I thank you so much for coming on. It's been a ton of fun. I'm a big fan of yours. Make sure to check out Paul. Yeah, Paul's on Unschooled on podcast. How did this get made? If you're a movie buff, like check it out. If you like people talking about movies and how they're made, it's awesome. Check him out on Showtime for Black Monday. You can stream all the stuff. He's absolutely fantastic. Paul, I really appreciate you joining. And everyone, thank you for listening as always.
Thank you so much. And Nick, you've said so many nice things about me, but I think you're great. And you did a thing for me a little while ago for this thing called Unsend. And you were so funny and so great. And it's always great to talk to you. So thank you for having me.
I appreciate it, Paul. It's been a lot of fun.
All right. See y'all later. Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks. Bye.
Well, everyone, thanks for listening. I really enjoyed this episode with Paul, and I hope you did as well. We will see you on Monday. Have a great day.